Welcome back. All right, so here's your Wednesday edition of Hockey News of the Day. This is about my 8th take. I'm hoping this is the last one. No more thumping and banging, and hopefully no car alarms in the neighborhood. All right, so it's been. This is it's got to be the 5th take. So Joe Thornton has been fined $1,875 for anybody curious. And I really think, again, people always focus on the amount of money. I really think that with fines, it's okay. Here's a warning, and then next time out, you'll be looking at likely a suspension. So for Joe Thornton, he was fined for, they call it a slash. To me, a slash is more this, not as much this, or right on the right in the sensitive spot. So yeah, that's what happened with Kachuk, who stayed in the game, I do believe, but again, it was one of those situations in the game last night where the announcer's like, well, it looks like, yeah, give him a minute. Give him some air. Just back up. It's always interesting when that happens. The announcer's like, oh, right, yeah. So Thornton fined, and I'm sure that the next time Florida and Tampa play against each other, there won't be any kind of fireworks between them. Right? Right. Mark Bergevin calling a press conference because if there's anything that says your season's going well, it's needing a press conference 4 games into the season. And TSN has just page after page of articles on what's wrong with Montreal, what's happened to Montreal, where's the problem. Well, they've scored 3 goals in 4 games. That's a problem. Their defense hasn't looked very good. Also a problem. Jake Allen's looked pretty good. So that's one benefit. But you lose Carey Price, you lose Shea Weber, you lose Philippe Deneau, Kotkaniemi signs in Carolina. They don't match. I understand they get Dvorak back. I understand that there's additions here, Savard being added on the blue line, but it's not the same. And for Montreal, it shows this is not the same team. They're 0-4 right now. And remember, and I said this too, that last year in the regular season, they only had 24 wins in 56 games. So it felt like they were probably a fringe team as it was. They went on that really nice run to the Stanley Cup final. But, now what we're seeing is a team that has really lost something, and they're going to be trying to get that back. Edmondson also is taking leave from the team for a family matter. So Edmondson's out for a bit here. And again, for Montreal, it's kind of a mess. It really is. And Bergevin already saying, well, I'm not going to make any moves because of our record. And basically, he's not going to make any reactionary moves. And I'm not sure what you'd change. I'm not sure what moves you would make. I really don't know. Like, even if they had kept Deneau and signed him to the contract that he signed in LA, let's just say they'd done that, I don't know that they're still better, if they're better than 0-4, if they kept Deneau. Because then there's other moves they wouldn't have been able to make. So, it's right now got the makings of a long season, but teams have overcome slow starts before, and it is 4 games in, so there's only 78 games left for Montreal to get it straightened out. So for anybody who might be celebrating that doesn't like Montreal, it might be a little bit early to be celebrating a team being down when you're barely a week into the season. For Edmonton, Mike Smith is day-to-day with a lower body injury, which took him out of that game against Anaheim last night. Koskinen played well, and they may call up Skinner. They're going to see what the status is with Smith, and they'll call up Skinner if they need to. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Oilers and with their goaltending. But right now, the Oilers may very well be the best team in the Pacific, and depending on how long Stone and Pacioretty are out for, that could be. That they could run away with the division early. For Vegas, the good news is there won't be any surgery apparently for Stone. They're reporting him as being week to week. The rumor mill has been that it'll probably be on the longer side of things, but maybe it won't be as bad as they had initially thought, and so week to week. Jack Hughes is listed as day-to-day, but that pens an evaluation as well. So he left the game with an upper body injury last night against Seattle in the first period. Jack Hughes has had a good start to the season. Hopefully he's not out for very long. And his brother Quinn, not on the ice for the Canucks practice today. So I'll just throw that out there too. After missing last night's game. Maybe one of those maintenance things though. So yeah, Jack Hughes day-to-day. And for New Jersey off to a really fast start, they're going to want him in the lineup as soon as possible. For Chicago, Hardman last night put into the boards by Matt Martin, who immediately showed regret and concern for Hardman. But he has a head laceration from that. So you hear laceration, you're like, okay, so that could be a one of those ones that needs a stitch or two. It might be one of those ones that's big enough to require staples. Either way, it's not fun. And I'm at least glad that I haven't seen that he has a concussion, although I can't see how he doesn't have a concussion with how wobbly he was on his skates after that hit into the boards. I can't see how there's no concussion there. If there isn't, I think he gets away lucky this time and maybe wants to pick up a lottery ticket while he's at it. So yeah, lineup decisions too for Philadelphia. McEwen will make his debut for the Flyers tonight. Ristolainen will be in the lineup as well for Philly. Philly coming off of a win. Now they're going into Boston. They're looking for back-to-back. And we'll see how things go between them and the Bruins tonight. Should be a fun one. Remember, it's a double header on TNT in the U.S., so both games back-to-back. And so I'll have time to watch and do an entire board for each game. That's the plan. So yeah, McEwen and Ristolainen in the lineup for Philly. That should be fun. On the Anaheim side of things, Max Jones and Mason McTavish put on the injured reserve list. So we'll see how long they're out for, but this allows them to call up Sam Carrick and Sonny Milano. Carrick and Milano, both guys with NHL experience. For McTavish, it's a bit of a kick. And again, for Anaheim, a team that all of a sudden this year can score goals, McTavish is a part of that. And so we'll see how long he's out for. Zegras has looked pretty good for them as well. So yeah, for Anaheim, I think this is going to be kind of a fun team to watch. I have no idea how many games they're going to win, but they might be fun to watch. Yeah, they really could be, as Edmonton found out last night, right? So I want to talk about Buffalo's fast start. Buffalo's had this really good start to the season. There is a caveat with this, though, and again, this is that it's early in the season, right? Montreal, it's early in the season. So you don't want to read too much into it. So they beat Montreal first off, 5-1. Montreal now 0-4 with a GM that's going, I'm not trading everybody right now. Then they win 3-2 in a shootout over Arizona. So that game it looked like it was teams 31 and 32 fighting each other. And then last night they beat Vancouver 5-2. Vancouver on a long road trip. Vancouver drops to 1-2-1. Arizona's at 0-2-1. The combined records of the three teams that they've played, 1-8-2. So not including the games against Buffalo, they are 1-6-1. So it's been a case of Buffalo winning games, and that's important. And over the next 5, I think we'll get the idea for whether or not they can keep this up and stay competitive. Starting with a home game against Boston to round out this homestand. So all these games have been at home. Then they go to New Jersey, which should be a fun little battle between a New Jersey team that looks at least a little tougher to play this year. And for Buffalo, they're looking like they may be tougher than last year too. Then they come home to play Tampa. That could be a big one. Then they go to Anaheim and LA as part of a West Coast swing. So it is possible that over the next 5 games, if they win, let's say they win 2 of them. Let's say they end up 5-2-1 after 8 games. We may have a discussion to be had at that point about Buffalo and whether or not they might be able to maybe sneak into a wild card spot. It is way too early to discuss that now, but the schedule isn't really that mean to them as of yet. But we'll see what happens. I mean, last year, Buffalo, everything that could go wrong did. And I think not having Jack Eichel with the team, I don't think this is a matter of them playing better because Eichel's out of the lineup. I think this is a matter of without that drama, with it not being part of the team, I think it makes it easier for them to focus on playing hockey. And really, Kyle Okposo, 3 points in 3 games for them this year. He's played in these 3 games the best he's played since signing that contract with Buffalo. He's looked really good. So if he can keep that up, that's a huge help to them right there. But we'll see what happens. And again, it's early and it's still fun to look at and see these teams that get off to good starts, and maybe they last, maybe they don't. Vancouver, of course, it's been a rough start to the season. The one thing that I keep seeing is questions about their effort. I will say I think they're too easy to play against. I think when you've got a team that doesn't have that physicality in the lineup, I think it just makes it easier for a team to get those rush chances, makes it easier for a team to get to the net. and it just makes things easier for the opposition where they don't really have to worry about anybody. And with Vancouver, you kind of have that going on with them right now. We'll see if that gets better. Again, it's a long road trip for Vancouver, right? So we'll see if at the end of this road trip, when they come home, if things get better, or if this is a sign it's going to be another long year for the Vancouver Canucks. I wanted to send best wishes to Mike Bossy. Mike Bossy revealed yesterday he's dealing with lung cancer. He's stepping away from his job with TVA Sports. Mike Bossy, one of the best goal scorers I've ever seen play. I would rank him as probably, I mean, Gretzky and Lemieux would be probably 1, 2, but he'd have to be 3. 50 goal scorer every year. And if not for his back giving out on him, I really think he would have just kept going. I think he would have been one of those guys that in his mid-30s was still putting up 50 a year. He just made it look easy. He made it look very easy and effortless, and it was every single year. So injury took him out eventually, but he was the best, I thought, at the time. And again, I would say, yeah, Gretzky, Lemieux. And there are others we can have that discussion with. I've had that discussion on the channel before, but Bossy, one of the best of all time. And so all the best to him, and hopefully he's back doing his job as soon as possible. But yeah, so there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Yes, this 5th try, and this is the first time I've got to the summing up part. Yes, don't celebrate too soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Thanks for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.